In the quaint town of Loria, there lived a young woman named Mira. Mira wasn't celebrated for her looks but rather for what she lacked. Unlike the other girls in Loria, Mira had always stood out from an early age. While her friends blossomed into mature women, Mira remained slender and petite. The townspeople took note, and before long, she became the focal point of gossip. In Loria, a woman's worth was often judged by her body size, especially her bust. Women with full, rounded figures were admired and sought after for marriage, as it was believed they would be excellent mothers capable of easily breastfeeding their children. Unfortunately for Mira, her chest remained flat, making her a subject of ridicule. Who would marry her? She doesn't even have a chest, the village women would whisper as they passed by the marketplace. How can she care for her children when she has nothing to feed them with, they would say, their voices laced with laughter. The girls who once played with Mira as children had now grown into women who mocked her. They would laugh loudly as she walked by, flaunting their own voluptuous figures in front of her. Although Mira felt hurt by their words, she kept quiet and continued with her daily chores, concealing her pain as best as she could at home. Her parents, Anna and Eliora, had begun to lose hope in her. Her mother, Eliora, especially believed Mira was cursed. Why is our daughter like this? All the girls her age are getting married, and even Mira's younger sister, Lila, has found a husband. But look at Mira, no man wants her. Would you blame them? Look at her chest, flat as pancakes, she would cry to her husband. Mira's father would sigh deeply but say nothing. Deep down, he also felt something was wrong with Mira. He treated her with a cold distance, often ignoring her as if she were a disappointment. Anna and Eliora were blessed with 3 beautiful daughters and showered their other children, including Lila, with immense love and affection. But Mira was always overlooked. Every festive season, Eliora would buy new clothes, shoes, and gifts for her other children, leaving Mira out. She believed that since Mira wasn't developing, there was no need to spend money on new clothes when she could always wear the old ones. As the years went by, Mira's loneliness grew. She watched as her friends got married one after another. Her younger sister, Lila, beautiful and full-figured, married a prosperous farmer from a neighboring town. On the day of Lila's wedding, Mira stood at the edge of the crowd, clapping along with the others but feeling an overwhelming sadness inside. She knew that no one would ever look at her the way they looked at Lila. The villagers' whispers only grew louder after Lila's marriage. Her younger sister is married, but Mira will never marry, they said with pity and scorn. However, Mira remained kind-hearted and humble. She tried not to let the hurtful words of others break her down, but often she felt lost and hopeless. She wondered if she would ever be loved or if she was truly cursed. One day, surprising news swept through the town of Loria. A wealthy man from the city named Victor was coming to the town in search of a wife. Victor was renowned far and wide as a successful entrepreneur. Tall and handsome with ample wealth, he had everything a man could want except for a wife. After spending years in the city, he decided he wanted to marry a woman from the town, someone traditional, respectful, and very humble. The news excited the entire town. Mothers rushed to prepare their daughters, dressing them in their finest attire and adorning them with beautiful and colorful jewelry. The young women of Loria, those who had once teased Mira, were the most excited. They saw Victor as the perfect match and were determined to win him over. When Victor arrived in Loria, he was greeted with open arms. The elders showered him with great respect, and the young women of Loria flocked around him, hoping to catch his attention. They giggled and flattered him, showcasing their beauty and grace, hoping one of them would become his wife. However, Mira remained calm and polite. None of the women seemed to capture his interest, and days passed without Victor choosing any of them. The villagers began to wonder if perhaps even their most beautiful women were not enough to impress a man of his status. Ava, who was considered the most beautiful girl in Loria, decided to pursue Victor. She was admired by every man in the town and possessed the necessary qualities for a good wife. One serene afternoon, Eva paid Victor a visit, hoping to catch his attention. Upon arriving at his home, she was warmly received by Victor's mother. Almost immediately, Eva began talking with Victor, and the two became close. Victor's mother was proud of her son. "You have done well, my son. You have chosen rightly," she danced and praised him. "Eva is the finest girl in this town, and despite her beauty, she is very humble. She's not like those town girls who pretend to be something they're not. Eva is very decent. I can guarantee that with her, you'll have a happy home." Victor's mother was pleased that her son would not only be getting married but also that their grandchildren would be well fed, as Eva had the necessary physique to maintain a household. Soon, the two lovers started spending more time together. Most days, Victor would drive to Eva's house to pick her up, and afterward, they would go to a nearby café to eat and talk as new lovers. One day at the café, Victor gave Eva some money to pay for their meal while he stepped outside to use the restroom. When he returned, he was shocked to see the owner of the café holding Eva's dress and shouting that she was a thief. At this point, people had gathered, trying to understand what was happening. Victor pleaded with the woman to let Eva go and explain the situation, suggesting there might have been a misunderstanding. The woman hesitated but eventually freed Eva's dress. She recounted that Eva had tried to leave without paying for her meal, but luckily, she had caught her as she attempted to sneak out. Victor couldn't believe his ears. He tried to ask Eva if what the woman said was true, but Eva covered her face in shame, apologized to the woman, paid her, and silently drove Eva back to her father's house. Victor couldn't fathom how such a beautiful girl could be involved in such a disgraceful act. Upon reaching her father's house, he dropped Eva off and never spoke a word to her again. When he returned home, he recounted the incident to his mother, who expressed her disappointment in Eva. Victor's mother quickly realized why Eva's previous relationships had failed. Despite her beauty, Eva was a thief. Victor's mother encouraged him to move on, telling him there were other well-mannered and well-behaved girls in the town. It didn't take long for Victor to readjust his search for a good wife. The other girls were pleased that things didn't work out between Victor and Eva and tried to regain his attention. One day, Mira, as usual, was avoiding the crowd. She knew she had no chance of catching the attention of a man like Victor, so she focused on her own path. She was on her way to the river to fetch water when she crossed paths with Victor. Mira hadn't even noticed that Victor was nearby until he spoke to her. "Good afternoon," Victor said with a smile. Mira was stunned. She nearly dropped the pot of water she had balanced on her head. She knew who he was but couldn't understand why he was talking to her. "Good afternoon," she replied softly, her eyes cast down in respect. Victor looked at her closely. Unlike the other women, Mira wasn't trying to impress him at all. She was quiet and humble, her beauty hidden beneath her modesty. There was something about her that captivated him. "What is your name?" he asked. "Mira," she replied, still confused about why he was interested in her. From that day onwards, Victor made an effort to get to know Mira whenever he could. He would walk with her to the river, visit her family's home, and ask her about her life in the town. Though shy at first, Mira slowly began to open up to him. She spoke about her love for Loria, her family, and her hopes for a better future. Although she didn't say it aloud, Victor could sense the pain she had endured from the villagers. The townspeople couldn't believe their eyes. Why is Victor spending time with Mira, they wondered. The one they had all dismissed. The women who had tried to impress Victor were baffled and angry. Doesn't he see that she's flat-chested? One woman said, she has nothing to offer him. How will she take care of his children? She's not even a real woman. But Victor didn't care about their gossip. He had fallen in love with Mira's heart, her kindness and quiet strength. He saw something in her that no one else did, something beyond her physical appearance. One evening, as they sat together by the riverbank watching the sunset, Victor turned to Mira with a serious look in his eyes. "Mira, he said softly, "Will you marry me?" Myra's heart skipped a beat. She had never imagined that someone like Victor would want her. Tears filled her eyes as she struggled to find her words. "Are you sure you want to marry me?" she whispered. "I'm not like the other girls. I have no chest. What if I can't have children for you?" Victor smiled gently and took her hand. "I don't care what others may say. You are the one I want. I love you for who you are." Myra's tears flowed freely, but they were tears of joy. For the first time in her life, she felt truly seen and loved. The news of Victor's proposal spread quickly, and the villagers were shocked. How could he, a rich and handsome man, choose Mira over all the beautiful women in the town? Some people tried to warn him against marrying her. "She won't be able to feed your children," they said. "She's not like the other women. She has no chest." But Victor was firm in his decision. He loved Mira, and nothing anyone said would change his mind. His mother was strongly opposed to his decision, deeply disappointed in him, but she knew nothing would change Victor's mind about making Mira his wife. She had no choice but to go along, even though she hid her disdain for Mira. The wedding was simple but beautiful. Mira was dressed elegantly for the first time in her life, feeling valued not for her body but for her heart. After the wedding, she and Victor moved to the city, leaving behind the mistreatment from her family and the hurtful gossip from the townspeople. Life in the city was different. Mira adjusted quickly, and Victor treated her with love and respect. Over time, something incredible happened. Her body began to change. Away from the judgment and stress of Loria, Mira blossomed. Her figure became full, and she grew more confident in herself. Her love for Victor and the happiness she felt in their life together made her glow. A year after their marriage, Mira gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Contrary to the villagers' fears, she had no trouble breastfeeding her child. She was a devoted mother, and her home was filled with love. Over the next few years, she had 2 more children. Victor's mother immediately fell in love with her, calling her her pride and praising her for giving her beautiful grandchildren. Meanwhile, Myra's parents felt ashamed of themselves. They had believed that Victor would realize his mistake and return their daughter to the town. Years passed, and Mira remained happily married in Victor's home. Her parents felt ashamed and wanted to see Mira with their own eyes. One day, they decided to visit Mira in the city. Upon arriving at her home, they were shocked by what they saw. Mira had completely transformed. She was just like the girls they had admired in Loria, and to be fair, she looked even better. Anna and Eliora quickly swallowed their pride and apologized for how they had treated Mira. They couldn't believe their daughter had transformed into such a beauty. However, Mira told them that she had forgiven them even before they apologized. Although she had not been treated well by her parents and the entire family, she truly forgave them. 2 years later, during the Christmas season, Mira and Victor returned to Loria with their children. As they walked through the town, the people could hardly believe their eyes. Mira, who they had once mocked for her flat chest and slender figure, was now a vision of beauty. Her body was full and elegant, her skin glowing with health and happiness. The women who had once ridiculed her could only stare, and the men who had ignored her now looked at her with admiration. "How can this be?" they whispered among themselves. "Isn't this the same Mira?" But Mira, with her head held high and her children by her side, simply smiled. She had found love not because of her outward appearance but because of the beauty she carried within her. She had proven that a person's true worth goes beyond their appearance, and she was now living a life filled with happiness, joy, and fulfillment. Dear viewers, the true beauty of a person comes from within, their inner beauty, kindness, and humble heart, not their physical appearance. This story shows that true love looks beyond the superficial. Let's strive to be kind and graceful towards people of all body types, as you never know what they are going through. Dear viewers, kindly let us know the lessons you have taken from this story. Thank you for watching. Family, please remember to subscribe, share this story, and like the video. And if you are a returning subscriber, here is a hug from me to you. Thank you so much for always watching. See you in the next video. Till next time, bye.